When this subcommittee was formed, I had not fully read the charges, the affidavits that, from the state investigators. Have you both had a chance to read those?
All I've read, Mike, is what's in the paper. I haven't read the charges now.
So do you think that that might have been part of what we should have done to prepare ourselves for making this choice today? Because I've read it, and it gives us really no other alternative but to insist that this forensic audit take place. I mean, it's unbelievably serious in terms of public trust and the way it's been violated.
So why don't you fill us in on some of the charges?
Some of them have been published in the paper, but in terms of the charges against Mr. Ierardi, it has to do with embezzling cash, misusing grant money, double billing, reimbursement reports, and falsifying overtime reports.
All of which I read in the paper.
Right. Occurring over a period of years, and that's the other problem with this audit, is it's only going to really cover the current year instead of trying to examine the books to determine the degree and the extent of this misuse of public funds if it occurred. It's also, it would be aiding their investigation as well. But this is knowledge that we have to gain in order to, again, possibly ask for reimbursement in the future, so that there's no loss to this town from these activities that have occurred.
Any thoughts, Mike? Ed?
One thing I wanted to just say is I think, though, if you bring in an accounting firm to work on the annual audit and you get them in here, would be independent, they'll be selected, and get some feedback from them. This way they can take a look at what they think is a problem and then address it, and then just give us some guidance to go from there.
Do we really need any more feedback to know why forensic auditing is in existence, and the fact that there are certified fraud examiners who are designated for this exact purpose? I mean,
Mike, I'm well aware that there's certified fraud examiners. I know some, at least by name anyway. It's not personally, but my understanding is you've got to give them a scope. You can't just say to them, come in and audit the entire town. They do specific testing procedures looking for fraud. But you've got to point them in the right direction. Or we're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars here researching the entire town.
The scope can be expanded, but can it at least begin at community services?
Could potentially. That's one of the things up for discussion.
One of the things the audit firm has to do when they come in is assess, according to the Stats 99, is assess the risk of fraud in an entity. So one of the first things they could look at is that area and decide where to go from there.
Is there a reason why that never showed up in any of the past CAFR audits from Levitsky and Bernie?
I can't speak for them.
You know, Mike, I read...
Not everything is going to be found in any given audit, though.
Yeah, I read the CAF from Mike and the internal controller in preparation for the meeting, and, you know, I only read what you can read right now. I'll be happy to give it to you, but, you know, from what I read on the report from Levitsky and Bernie, it didn't say that they go into every department and check everything. They do some kind of testing procedures. How extensive they are, I don't know. Do they do it in every department? I don't know. They just look at the policies and procedures of the town? Maybe. So unfortunately, you know, this isn't a real area of expertise, but I can see from the way it's worded that they do certain testing procedures, but it's not designed to catch everything. So, you know, we don't have them here to answer your question, but that's sort of the way I interpret it when I read it. Mike, we didn't get a chance to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I'm kind of in between the 2 points of view, because I want to do what's right for the town taxpayers to make sure that this comes to a resolution. And before listening to your point of view, I was not for the forensic audit, because I thought that we could do what we needed to do by hiring an outside auditing firm to do exactly what you just said. In other words, specify or pinpoint it into 1 or 2 departments within the town. But you seem to be saying that, with what I just said, a forensic audit would be a more comprehensive approach to do that, even if we could replicate the audit just and zero in on 1 or 2 departments in town. You think there's a big difference between a forensic audit by pinpointing just community service or 1 specific department, or bringing in an outside auditor, one of these auditors here? Do you think that there would be a big difference in the data that we come up with?
Certainly, yes.
Because there is a tremendous cost differential for the town. So I'm trying to determine what the incremental gain is on a forensic audit versus another type of audit, and weigh it versus the incremental cost for the town.
Yes. It is my belief that the people of this town are willing to spend a measurable sum of money to get to the bottom of this and find out how deep and how bad the wounds are, so the wounds can be healed. And so this is a critical point here, where we can either be up to the challenge of facing this problem and attacking this problem, or we can simply just say we're dealing with it while we're not actually using the best professionals and the best ammunition at our disposal. And this whole profession of forensic auditing is designed to look into a situation like this and help us and help the public. And this is quite necessary at this time.
I have a couple thoughts that come to mind, Mike. One of them is, well, what's a forensic auditor supposed to do? And one of them, I think I agree with you, is to look into a situation and see what the extent of fraud is. How much money has the town or business lost? But I think the other thing is that there has to be, is to investigate the suspicion of fraud. An entity has some sort of suspicion that fraud's been committed, so they direct a forensic auditor to go in and perhaps check a certain area or a certain transaction. Well, we already know about the second one, because that's already happened. Those are the charges you've already read. So now I guess we have 2 things. One, does the town have the right policies and procedures in place to combat this in the future, which can be accomplished with your auditor? And then I guess we're back to the other thing you said, which is, okay, do we really want to go back either 1, 2, or multiple years and ask ourselves, what's the sum total of the allegations, which I think, quite frankly, we ought to keep in mind that is what's stated here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And again, I sort of throw it into discussion. I mean,
well, the answer how far back you should go, the forensic auditor finding a certain pattern or trail or even suspicion, if they find a problem in any one given fiscal year, they should go back and check the previous fiscal year. And that should go on and on and on until they don't find it again. Then they know how far back the problem existed.
So Mike, help me understand this, and I'm not disagreeing with your point of view, but we have before us a list of municipal auditing firms, and this is a list that was compiled from information obtained from the Office of Policy and Management.